was quite lucky to be quite talented and stuff at a younger age, but that only gets you to a certain level, you know, and then it's like everybody can hit the ball just as well as you can, and it's the 1%ers, like the little things that actually make a big difference.
Welcome to the Winners Club podcast. I'm your host, Bryce Wilson, and today I'm here with D1 tennis player Anton Shepp. Nice to meet you, Anton.
Nice to meet you, bro.
So we're going to get into your mindset and what it's like being a D1 athlete. But before we get into that, I'd like to know about your journey to become a D1 athlete. So Can you give us like a quick backstory of who you were as an athlete growing up?
I played a lot of sports growing up, you know, as you do. New Zealand, rugby's quite big. I don't know if you guys, not many people really know what that sport is, but
no, football.
But yeah, so rugby's kind of like our football. Yeah. So I played all of that kind of stuff growing up. When I was kind of like 12, 13, maybe 14, coming to America on a scholarship kind of becomes a reality, and you see a few people kind of doing that sort of stuff. So that was always my kind of dream. And then when I kind of turned 18, I started talking to a few colleges and got an offer, and then kind of uprooted everything and came over here.
So what was it like growing up in New Zealand? I know it's probably just normal for you, but what was it like? And then how did it shape you coming over here? Like how did it shape you, especially like in your sport?
New Zealand's beautiful, man. Like everybody's pretty chill. Like everybody kind of, it's a lot different over here. Like everybody's a little bit less independent, and especially in America, everybody's real independent. They do their own kind of thing. And in New Zealand, it's a little bit more relaxed. But for tennis, it was kind of difficult, you know, like the tennis level is not that high in New Zealand. So I always knew that if I wanted to have a really good crack, I had to get out of there, like kind of come to a bigger country where there's a few more opportunities and stuff. So that was kind of the goal.
Did that community aspect of New Zealand, did that kind of help shape your mindset as, like you said, an athlete where you're working with your teammates, you're trying to learn from them and not just trying to do it all yourself?
For sure. I mean, like you get to learn kind of the team environment a little bit more. And although tennis is an individual sport, in college it's a team sport, you know. So you gotta be able to understand and learn from your teammates and guide some of your teammates if you have the opportunity to do that, you know. So.
And how did high school go for you as far as athletics, and how did you get that call from UTA and other like D1 schools?
Yeah, high school I was doing pretty well. Like juniors, like I was top 200 in the world for juniors. Like I was doing pretty well. Colleges are always looking at those kind of junior results on the world scale anyway. So they would kind of hit me up like through like Instagram or like through WhatsApp or something like that.
What was it like traveling at a young age, and not a lot of people to get to travel different countries, especially just for the sport? So what was it like traveling, and what did you learn?
Oh, bro, it's really cool. Like, I mean, I've been blessed, been able to travel around the world quite a lot. And I think it makes you grow up quite quickly, you know, like you have to become independent and be able to just figure things out, you know, like you go to a hotel in some random country where they don't really speak English, and you have to be able to like kind of sort things out. And I mean, it's quite a cool experience, and I was quite lucky to be able to do that at quite a young age.
And you made the leap to coming over here to D1 to play school in America. So you're traveling halfway across the world from New Zealand. Yeah. What was it like first coming here? Was it a scary decision, like a stressful decision to come here?
Oh, mate, it was very stressful. Trying to actually get here, trying to sort my visa and everything out. Like it was all last minute, and it was, mate, it was probably the most stressful like couple months of my life.
There was a visa part, the worst part?
Yeah, it was crazy. I had to get like a meeting, an appointment with the embassy, and it took like, it was everything that could possibly go wrong went wrong. I had to try and figure it out. So.
But you figured it out. But yeah, other than that, like, as far as just coming here.
So, I mean, it was cool. Like, I mean, obviously you're a little nervous and stuff when you come over here. Like, I didn't really know that much about America. And I knew I was coming here, but I didn't really know anything, you know? So it was like, I kind of threw myself in the deep end and had to kind of figure it out.
Did you learn anything from movies?
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's all my reference points. It was like movies and stuff, you know?
You thought it was going to be like New York or something?
Well, I had no idea what Dallas, Texas was going to be like.
I know. So. You first get here, first couple weeks or a month or so, how are you dealing with that mentally? Was it like you just kind of go in your shell and just go to your room, or were you kind of still trying to go and explore?
I had a mate who was actually at this school my first semester, so that made my transition a little bit easier, you know. So he kind of showed me around and kind of helped me out with that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, like you have to try and be out there a little bit and not just stay in your shell, because then you limit yourself, you know, and you want to come out here and get the full experience.
The first year is always rough for any college athlete, but especially for one coming across the world. So what was kind of the lowest moment of that first year and the highest moment of that first year?
I got humbled pretty quickly when I first came over here, you know, like people play tennis differently over here,
that's
so
another one,
it's
yeah, right.
I wasn't ready for that, and
Mhm.
I came over here quite confident and a little bit arrogant
Right.
almost, and it got humbled real fast, and that was probably my lowest point. Was probably my first semester. I mean, I didn't
Mhm.
win very many
Mhm.
matches. Like I was really struggling. After that first semester, I switched my mindset a
Mhm.
little bit, you know, and
Okay.
I had to learn how to win again
Mhm.
almost, and
Mhm.
then my last year over here is just kind of it's been getting progressively better and better and
Mhm.
better. My
Mhm.
last semester's actually been quite good. So
You said you switched your mindset. What kind of did you switch it to? Like, what was kind of your first semester mindset, and then what was your kind of your second semester mindset?
with tennis, I mean, I was very aggressive. Like
Mhm.
I would play like hit the ball really hard and kind
Mhm.
of look to move forward, but I'd make a lot of errors, you
Mhm.
know. And in New Zealand, I could get away with that,
Right.
but over here, everybody doesn't miss. Everybody just sits
Mhm.
back and just makes balls, and
Mhm.
you can't play like that.
Mhm.
You have to switch, and you have to be ready to just be a dog and just be out
Mhm.
there all day and
Mhm.
work for every point, you know.
Right.
So it was switching from just being aggressive and not really taking every point as it comes
Mhm.
to really locking in on every point and making
Mhm.
sure you make the most of it.
What'd you learn from the first year? In addition to what you just said, like, is there anything else that just helped you mentally improve this year?
I've been eating a lot
Mhm.
better, and
Mhm.
like it's kind of off the court.
Mhm.
I've had to be a lot more professional. Like the first came over here, you're messing around a little
Mhm.
bit, like
Right.
having a bit of fun and stuff like that. So it's taking a step back from that, and
Mhm.
while I'm during season, really like trying to eat well, sleep well,
Mhm.
like do everything right
Mhm.
outside the tennis court, and that's made a huge
Mhm.
impact on my
Mhm.
game. You know, like that really skyrocketed me up
Mhm.
into kind of where I want to be.
It was mostly the off court things that were holding you back in the
Yeah,
beginning.
no,
Okay.
it's just professionalism off the court, which
Okay.
I mean, I'd kind of gotten away with
Mhm.
not being that professional,
Mhm.
like because I was quite lucky to be quite talented and stuff at a
Okay.
younger age, but that only gets you to a certain
Mhm.
level, you know, and then
Right.
it's like everybody can hit the ball just
Mhm.
as well as you can, and
Right.
it's really trying to it's the 1%ers, like
Mhm.
the little things that
Right.
actually make a big difference.
Talking about talent, growing up your whole life, did you put in that much work as a tennis player? And then how did that change when you came here?
So I'd always worked pretty hard. My dad's like a world champ kickboxer,
Oh,
so
wow.
that's my kind of background, you know.
Okay.
So I grew up around like world champ kickboxing
Mhm. Mhm.
fighters, and like I would train with them. So I wasn't really
Mhm.
necessarily doing all this tennis training,
Mhm.
but my fitness training
Mhm.
was really good because it
Right.
was kickboxing and stuff like that. Like, I was always
Mhm.
a hard worker, but it's more like actually off the court, like just making sure I eat well and making sure I'm sleeping well. That was kind of the bigger thing, you
Mhm.
know, and it's crazy how much of an impact that actually has.
Now we can talk about your mindset. So are there any things you do to take care of your mental health?
Back in New Zealand, I used to have a sports psychologist
Oh,
and
really?
stuff,
Okay,
and
nice.
that's something I've got to take advantage of here a little bit more.
Mhm.
I think you got to kind of not be too hard on yourself,
Mhm.
especially at college. You know,
Mhm.
like everybody's gonna lose, like
Right.
that's gonna happen. You're playing like 2, 3, 4 matches a week,
Right.
like it's gonna happen. You
Mhm.
can't expect to win every time, but it's you got to learn to learn
Mhm.
from those losses and take little bits of it, and you want to try and peak at the right time.
That's cool that you had a sports psychologist. What'd you learn from the sports psychologist growing up?
With tennis, you can get very, very angry. It's a
Definitely.
very
Yeah,
like
definitely. Yeah.
you've only got yourself to blame, and
Right.
that's hard
Yeah.
on you mentally. So it's when I feel myself losing it a little bit, I try and go back to those triggers. And
Can you tell us what those like triggers are?
oh, bro, they sound pretty weird, but
Okay.
it's like there's a little one. It's like you grab your wrist like this, and
Mhm.
that would send me to like a certain mental
Okay.
like
Wow.
space, and then it's like I do like this little thing with my shirt, and that
Mhm.
kind of locks me back in and
Okay.
stuff. Like it's little things
Yeah.
that sound weird,
Yeah.
but
Right.
it's like they actually work.
It's whenever kind of lose yourself in your emotions. I know tennis is a very like emotional sport. Like it's like if you make a 1 degree difference, then it's gonna the
Oh
ball
man,
goes out of bounds.
it makes a huge
So then
difference.
obviously it's very frustrating. So
Yeah.
it's just doing like you said, like doing this, but doing it over and over that just locks you back in.
But yeah, it's like I would flick my shirt up and then I'd touch my wrist and stuff, and then that would lock me back in, you know? And a big thing that I've been trying to use a little bit at the moment is like you go to your towel and you
Mhm.
breathe into your
Mhm.
towel and just like kind of reset.
Right.
Like there's a few like breathing exercises that you kind of do, like the one that's like breathe in, hold
Mhm.
for 5, and then breathe out.
Yeah, when do you do those breathing exercises, and how does that help you?
So I would do that by my towel,
Mhm.
like in between points and
Okay.
stuff. So it's like if there's a big point coming up, like I'll go back to my towel and I'll
Yeah.
breathe and reset and
Right.
try and really make sure that I take my time and lock in, you know,
Mhm.
because it's very easy to rush some important points, and
Mhm.
then that can be the difference between
Right.
winning a match and losing a
Let's
match.
talk about losing. And whenever I know you said the first year, especially you've dealt with a lot of losses.
Yeah.
How do you deal with those losses now?
That's a big thing that I've had to learn
Mhm.
is dealing with failure, and
Mhm.
I'm a very competitive person.
Yeah.
I hate losing. My losses recently have been a lot better, if that makes
Okay.
sense. Like
Okay.
the people that I'm losing to are a lot higher
Right.
level, and
Okay.
it's I've gained a lot of confidence from my
Mhm.
losses recently.
Mhm.
Like my first semester, I was losing quite easy, and it
Mhm.
was that's kind of demoralizing,
Right.
you know, when
Right.
it's like I wasn't actually in the match. When you're going real competitive with like top players in the country, you know, it's like I just gain confidence and I look at the little things that was the difference, you know, like there's a couple points here and there and it's just trying to tighten down on those things.
Right.
I'm quite lucky. I get most of my matches filmed. So
I see, yeah.
yeah, I can like go back and look back at those matches
Yeah.
and see the actual point and what shot was not as effective as it
Right.
needed to be.
How important is filming and evaluating yourself after matches? Do you do that after every match? Like how much time are you spending evaluating yourself?
I spend quite a lot of time. I mean, I quite enjoy it, you know, because I can't tell how I hit the ball and how I like my footwork is and everything. Like especially in the moment, you know, it's just it comes naturally to me. I don't really think about it. So looking back on it and seeing like in tight moments if I tighten up or if I swing freely and stuff like that, you know, it's quite cool. And I think it makes a huge difference. You know,
What kind of helped you gain your confidence back? Was it the work outside of off the court? Like what are the things that helped you gain your confidence?
it was that mental switch. I think that where it was like, all right, I'm gonna take this seriously. Like I'm only over here for like 3 more years or something. So it's like I better make the most of it. You know, I believe in myself. You know, I believe that I've got the ability to get there, and it was kind of just like a wake up call to myself. Like, look, like if I'm gonna have a crack, I'm gonna have a crack now. So, then I started to put all those little things together outside the court, and then I started to go close with some really good players, and then I gained confidence, and it was kind of a snowball effect, you know. So
Talk a little bit about balance of you know, not training all 24/7.
yeah,
What's important is the balance.
I think that's huge, man. If you can have time to just actually take a step back and have a breather and kind of assess everything that's going on, I think that's massive. Like if you just pedal to the middle the whole time, you know, you're gonna burn yourself out and you're gonna really struggle. So especially maybe at the end of the week, like taking a step back and looking at what you've done during the week and understanding like what's coming up next week and stuff like that, I think is really important. And that's something I'm trying to slowly build into my life.
What's some things that you have to do every day, whether it's, you know, the training, the stretching, the nutrition, all those things? What are some things that you have to do kind of every day?
In season, you know, like we train quite a lot. We train like we'll have individuals in the morning for like an hour, and then we'll have like 2.5 hour training sessions in the afternoon, you know. And then I've got class in between and everything, you know. So I'm pretty busy most days, you know. So it's making sure you like have a good sleep, you get to bed relatively early and wake up, and I'm trying to make sure I'm eating my 3 meals like well, you know, and trying to get lunch in is quite tough, but it's you try and make that you just make time for it.
One thing about tennis is there's a lot of players have superstitions. So do you have any pre-match or post-match routines and superstitions?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've got one kind of weird one. Like after the change of ends, so you go sit down, have a drink, and after that, I'll get up and I'll almost sprint out and be like, look, I'm fresh, bro. Like I'm not going anywhere, you know. So that, and I keep my energy up quite a lot, you know. Like I'm bouncing around all the time, and I'm quite fit. I back my fitness quite a lot, so it's, I almost try and overwhelm them with that, you know. And I mean, it works. Like it's something that I've found, like especially this last semester, like when I'm keeping my energy up and I'm really putting the pressure on, like these guys don't want to be there, you know. Like, they're like, I don't know, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see when you can break someone down like that. So.
And that's important, using like what do you have to your advantage. Like you said, you had that kickboxing training your whole life.
Yeah.
Not many tennis players probably have that endurance training. So it's using what you have to your advantage. So how does that benefit you?
I think kickboxing was amazing as like something to learn and something to be surrounded by as like a younger guy. Like especially the mindset. Like these guys are warriors, man. Like that. Like the gun gets tough, and you can't just take a step back. Like it's not an option. You go to sleep, you know. Like
exactly.
you can't do that. So I think that's something that's really good. Like when I would get into that really like tough close moment, like it's really tight and there's a lot of pressure and all that, I usually do quite well, you know. Like I've clinched a few times for my team over here, and it's like when the going really gets tough, I've got another mode I can kind of switch into, and that's something I'm very, very lucky with, you know. Like not many people kind of have that opportunity to learn that mindset as a younger person, and I mean, I'm trying to use that to my advantage as much as I can. You know?
Is there something you could like teach that to somebody of just building that mental toughness and resilience? Do you know anything that really helped you kind of just develop that?
I think breathing is a big thing, man. Like if a lot of people don't breathe when that moment gets when it gets really tight and there's a lot of pressure, like you start breathing short breaths, and it's just trying to stay relaxed and trying to stay calm. And obviously you have to acknowledge the pressure that's there, and you have to be like, yeah, look, like this is a big moment and stuff like that, but it's trying to stay like calm and collected in that moment and really making the most of it, you know? So I mean, it's not something that you're gonna get overnight, but it's something that if you keep getting put in that position, you're gonna start to figure things
Right.
out. You know.
Yeah.
So.
And what are you thinking during pressure moments, and even just in the match in general? Are you trying to clear your mind? Or are you trying to think about winning, or what do you kind of think about during a match?
It's weird, man. Like during the point, you don't really
Mm.
think that much.
Yeah.
Like you'll have like a game plan. You don't think about how you're hitting the ball or
Right.
anything like that. But then when you get to that tough moment,
Mhm.
it's like then you start thinking about like
Yeah.
how you're supposed to hit the ball
Yeah,
and how like
yeah.
and it's
We're thinking,
yeah. You got to try and clear that out.
One more thing about tennis players is the talking to themselves. Do you talk to do you talk to
Yeah.
yourself a lot, and kind of what things do you say to yourself, and how does that help you?
Oh man, I talk to myself way too much. Like it's pretty weird, man. I don't really know why tennis players do
I
it.
think because you're over there by yourself on an island pretty much, and it's all mental, so you have to kind of release
it's
it.
crazy. I say a lot of things to myself, man. Like it's a mix of positives, negatives, and everything. That's a big thing, I guess, is trying to limit the negative stuff
Right.
that you're saying to yourself and try and switch it into a positive. But that's a lot easier said than done.
Exactly.
Like when you make a stupid mistake and it's like, wow, like you can
Right.
get pretty angry, but it's trying to both limit the negatives or limit the time that you're dwelling on it. You know, so
Right.
it's
Like you say, you miss a point, and you kind of get really mad in that moment, but then how you get reset? You said, is it the triggers?
yeah, so that's those little trigger things and that breathing stuff and trying to take a step back, you know, and that's one thing I've been working a lot this semester, with my coaches and stuff is that positive self talk and trying to just understand like it is it's just one point, you know, like there's always gonna be there's another point
Right.
after that, you know, so it's not the end of the world,
Yeah.
you know, like it's annoying and it's you got to try and limit the crazy mistakes and
Right.
stuff, but if you make a mistake doing the right thing, there's no point in getting angry at it, you know.
Right.
It's like I had the right idea and like it didn't work out this time, but next time I might work out, you know.
Right.
And it's trying to understand that.
Now we'll get into like the final 5 questions.
Okay.
These are the final 5 questions I like to ask all the athletes.
I
The first one is, what's the misconception about being a D1 athlete?
think the big thing for me was the academic side and trying to balance how often I'm away with still trying to learn my classes and
Right.
stuff, you know, like I'm away quite a lot with tournaments and with matches and everything, and it's you got to try and once again the balance. I think the balance is the kind of key thing for a D1 athlete, and yeah, I think that was a big misconception. Is like I knew that it was going to be tough, but I didn't realize how much I was actually going to be away. You know, like I'm traveling 2-3 times a week. You know, and it's like that's.
Second one is the worst conditioning workout you've done as an athlete.
At UTA, they love a conditioning workout,
okay.
man. So we have 6 a.m. conditionings,
Man.
all September, and that's rough, man. Like my first semester here, it was really tough. Like, we've got like the little stadium and stuff here. We've got like, it used to be the football stadium, but we don't have a football team anymore. But the stairs, like the bleachers and stuff, like, man, we'll do like 10 to 16 like up and downs of the big bleachers. I feel like my team and myself are like fitter than anybody on the court. Like I don't feel like when I step on the court, there's going to be anybody that's fitter than I am, you know, which I think it's crazy because when you're doing the fitness workouts, you're doing the conditioning, you hate it, you know, it's awful, but it does make a huge impact.
It was worth it in the end. And what's the best memory you've had as an athlete?
My best memory over here would have to be I clinched in our first round at conference, and that was massive. You know, like it's 3-all. Like we hadn't won the first round of conference the last year. Like it was against like a top 35 school. You know, and I clinched that, and the whole team lost it. You know, it was massive. Like that was probably the best moment over here.
What's some advice you'd give to a high school athlete coming trying to go into college D1 athletics?
I would say the balance thing is a big thing. Like making sure that you understand and you know what you're getting into, you know, and understand that like you are a student as well as an athlete. I think that's the biggest thing. Is it's easy to get lost in just athletics and it's easy to fall behind, you know. So it's making sure that when you first come over here, you stay on top of all that stuff and you maybe get a few friends in the classes that you're in. Try and surround yourself with people that can help you out, you know. And I mean, everybody's very, very helpful over here, and it's just making sure that you're not afraid to go and ask for help, you know, and don't try and do it all yourself because it's going to be tough, you know, like it's doable, but it's really hard. So use the people that are around you and that are there to help you. Like make sure you use that to your advantage.
Good advice. And then last one is, how would you define being a winner?
I think being a winner is almost in the way you hold yourself as well, you know. Like I think a lot of people, like if you think of a winner, you think of someone that stands quite tall and is quite confident in themselves. And when they go out on the tennis court or you go out on the field or whatever, like they look like they're there to win, you know, like they've got that mindset within themselves, and they almost know they're gonna win. It's not arrogance, but confidence, you know. And I think that's a big thing. Like it's taking the small things and the small little wins that you get. Like I mean, obviously there's like a few little things that I did better than he did, and it's looking at those things. It's like I won those small battles, you know. Like I may not have won the whole war, but it's looking at the little battles that you've won and taking confidence from those.